Okay, they call me Darth Vader, but you are the one who put me on the media being Darth Vader. Dave Oates, how you doing? You are so used to manage crisis and PR that you're the perfect guest this week.
I'm so glad to have to be on with you. This has been a treat. Thanks again.
So, Dave, why don't you tell people why we have you here? Beside the I adore talking with you, but for the ones who I don't know what they're living, they don't know you. Because the truth to be told, the people in our field know who you are, and they're writing to you Sunday 3 a.m. in the morning when the things hit the fan. But you always hiding behind helping other people to save their necks. So tell them what you do and where.
I help business owners, executives, high-end individuals, and their trusted advisors to be able to say and do things that will stave off a reputation crisis, whether that's on the mass media or in social media, in blogs or online reviews or things of that nature. I've had the privilege to work with large-scale Fortune 500 companies to small mom and pop operations, and it's a privilege to work with as many as I have all around the country.
I almost feel guilty knowing your pedigree, talking about Amber versus Deep versus Johnny, but it's with we decide to get away from that, but we can. So let's go there. What the heck is going on before, during, and after? These people don't go either to the bathroom without having the PR people behind. It's a nightmare. Thank God they haven't called you yet because it's a nightmare in PR.
So a couple of things that I think. First off, a PR person was not running the playbook for the public discussions that they were having with news organizations and on Twitter. That was being run by the attorneys. And I do understand a little bit why. They're in the middle of litigation. What they say in the public domain will affect what happens within the courtroom. But to your point, there's two things that I would want to talk about. First is, prior to filing the case, Johnny Depp's camp filing the defamation suit, I hope that there was at least a conversation to say that even though they feel, and a jury agreed with them, that they were wronged and that there was some compensation owed for them, I hope they didn't think that in doing so that they were going to automatically fully restore Johnny Depp's reputation in the process, because any litigation, particularly one of this high profile, will showcase and uncover different accusations of events and wrongdoings during the course of a period of time. And no one looks perfect. No one looks really good. And so at the end of it all this garbage is now aired in the public domain that both are going to, regardless of whether they won or lost, they're going to have to do some reputation restoration efforts.
And I'm sorry, and all the people who was involved, like them, I will not going to repeat names, so I don't remember people names who I don't think they should be involved. Musician, family, other lawyers, other people who are part of your life. You have a party in the backyard of your house. You remember your friend get drunk like a cow, and suddenly it's a public persona, and now you need to know the role this person what does in their private life. That is private life is private. So all the people implicated is suicidal.
Yeah, and you really do affect everybody around you when that happens. So I don't know if that was if one of the goals was to restore Johnny Depp's reputation or restore Amber Heard's reputation, regardless of the outcome, that wasn't going to happen fully. So I don't know if that conversation was there. That said, they still may want to go into litigation. But here's the thing that occurred after the fact. We were talking about this beforehand. Both parties went on national television, news organizations, to convey their thoughts about the outcome. And neither attorneys changed their communication tactics. They were still talking to reporters and ultimately the general public like they would a juror. They were accusatory. They were animosity driven. They were spouting vitriol. They were sarcastic. They were not in any way, shape, or form empathetic or action oriented as to what's done next. Look, and let's go with Johnny Depp's legal camp, particularly the legal person, Camille, and I forget her last name. But we saw the interview where afterwards she was basically, during the course of the case, looked like that she was really coming down hard on Amber. And legally, I understand why. She was trying to discredit Amber's testimony. But in an interview, there was no reason to continue litigating like you're putting somebody down, because now it looks like you're just you're keeping somebody down. You are purposely trying to drive home the point that Amber was wrong. You won the case. Be a little bit empathetic. Say something to the effect of, look, we were happy with the outcome. We obviously believe that it was the right thing to do. Justice was served. But that said, there are a lot of parties that are obviously damaged from this. We don't wish ill will on anyone personally. We hope that the parties get to move on, certainly for Johnny Depp, but also for Amber Heard. We wish her the best, and hopefully we put this litigation behind now that justice has been served and both can move on with their lives. That would have been a far better magnanimous stance that would have also supported the fact that Johnny Depp is a good guy. But when the lawyer comes out and continues to argue and fight through it after the case is settled, it puts into question whether Johnny Depp is truly a good guy.
Dave, we talked before, the money is not on the bank in any of the parties, not Johnny, not Amber. The judge hasn't signed whatever release until the money is not on the bank and the judge closed. This is open. We don't know if the Amber gonna present any injunction. They're not gonna want a trial again. We don't know if Johnny Depp is gonna say we want to go again because he lose money. So this is not over until is not over. Shut up. You don't have any media control to go there.
I don't disagree with you, but there's probably a reason why they both got on. First off, the media wanted them on afterwards because it's still news.
Yeah.
But to your point, there are discussions that Amber Heard's camp is going to appeal, that there's injunctions that are going to be on there. And so to your point, probably one of the tactics that both camps and both law teams were still doing is they were using that forum to still litigate what will probably be an ongoing case because of all of the filings that will occur after the fact. That said, still not really good for either reputation. There'll be a time and place to do that. You can always go back to being the litigator in court after the fact. If you find it in your interest to have interviews right after the case, even if the judge hasn't signed the official outcome yet, the official jury verdict, that's fine, but then do so for the purposes of supporting building back the reputation of your client, because you are no longer strictly a lawyer in that case. You are a spokesperson for an individual that has to move on with their life and has to continue to earn a living. And in this case, for both Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, they are both actors in the public domain. They are trying to espouse that they are the good people in this. And you do so by showing empathy and action. Neither one of them did that. You're right. I think the reason why they continued the same kind of tonals and tactics was because they still in their mind's eye are thinking about the next litigation. They had time to worry about that. Now is the time to help restore the reputation. And both parties, particularly Camille, the attorney with the Johnny Depp's camp, failed in that regard.
And Elaine, Amber team, head of the Amber team, served to Johnny Depp team on silver golden plate when she accused the jury to be influenced, that be manipulated, blah, 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 blah. Instead to do damage control, like you says, like, no, the jury did blah. No, they keep on the litigation. Elaine gave Johnny's team a really good advantage, and they don't take advantage of that.
It certainly didn't help Amber's cause, in my opinion, because Amber's already looked at it as having a credibility issue. And now you're trying to put sour grapes on a jury that deliberated for that long. If they really think that they were emotionally drawn to Johnny Depp, who was the more emotional of the two of them? Amber Heard was. Amber Heard gave some pretty damning testimony of specific examples of abuse. The jury just didn't buy it. But I don't know whether Johnny Depp showed the same type of emotional sway and all that. In fact, the little bit of snippets I saw, he was pretty calm and collected throughout the whole thing. So you want to talk about that they were swayed by emotion. It was Amber that was emotional through the trial. So it just looks like sour grapes at this point. And again, there's a time and place to litigate whether a jury, in your opinion, didn't actually follow the letter of the law and the facts that was presented in follow-on injunctions and appeals. Do what should be your primary job in that opportunity with media, and that is help your client restore their reputation so they can get on with their lives and they can earn a living. Because right now, that wasn't happening with either camp right after the trial.
I call it simplified damage control. You don't do more damage, you control the damage. And I don't think neither. And now with Amber interview that we're going to be analyzing next week, I don't think it's in one point, I hope she have help because she keep thinking that she's the victim. Shut up. Wait until the end. We don't know. Again, we don't know if they're going to appeal, how many injunctions are going to happen, what the judge is going to think about this circus, because now they took this circuit to the media, then I think is the wrong arena to be having this fight.
It's unfortunate, right? Because all this is doing is increasing the animosity and anger, and not building back their positive reputation on either end. And so I don't understand the reason to do that, other than the adage, which I don't subscribe to, that any news is good news, right? Just keep yourself in top of mindset. I don't buy that for a minute. I can tell you plenty of examples of individuals who kept trying that and only dug themselves a deeper hole from which they never recovered. And I'm concerned that Amber Heard is going to follow the same tactic, because it seems to me that their lawyers and their handlers are running the show, and somebody needs to regroup on their tactics and their strategy, because it's just not working.
3 advice for the ones who listen that how you should control a crisis, either on the media. Now, media is Twitter too. We're not talking about CNN anymore. We're talking about Twitter. So bad things. One of the things, and I always says that it's tansu, the other word. When your enemy have a temper, provoke them and do nothing. So they doing that to Amber and Elaine really well. That from the dark side, my opinion, what are the healthy ways that you can fix those problems in the media?
The 3 things are this. First off, you need to have a plan as to what you want the outcome to be. Do not react to a situation. Have the desired outcome in effect, and then figure out what your message will be to that one. And make sure that messaging, I don't care the crisis. I don't care if it's a defamation suit with 2 high-profile actors, or it's a accusation of sexual harassment that occurs from a blog on medium.com from a small manufacturing company in Southern California. You must show empathy and action in every message. If you don't, you will only exacerbate the animosity, and you will at least extend it, if not do more damage to yourself. Either way, you're not getting back to your normal course of duties. You're not generating income. You're not doing the things you need to do as an individual or as an organization to get past it. And the third one is be prepared for the gotcha questions. Be prepared if you are going to then have conversations, whether it's with news organizations or social media influencers or your neighbor. Be prepared for somebody to have an inherent, if not a fully conscious bias as to what they believe were the right and the wrongs. And be ready to answer those, again, with that same empathy and action-oriented messages to get you back to normal operations. I don't care what it is. I don't care what organization. I don't care individuals, industry, time and place, whatever the events are. Those are the 3 things that everyone, if they adhere to it, will have a better chance than not in getting back to normal operations sooner rather than later.
And you just happen to write about all these things and innuendos in your own blog, that all the information is going to be below. So I think there are a lot of professions and pieces that happen, and people who is famous or not so famous in front of the public in a lawsuit and things like that, the people didn't understand their part. Publicists, agents, PR, profilers, and things like that. Now they come up to air, and like you and I, we wouldn't be talking about these publicly if this didn't happen before.
I don't disagree with you. I don't think this conversation in general is certainly going away anytime soon. And unfortunately, to your point, thanks to the legal teams of Depp and Amber Heard, we're not done with this conversation on this particular event anytime soon. It just is what it is.
Like my parents says, it's not done until it's done.
Your parents were wise people.
Dave, thank you very much for being with us.
Be well. Thanks for having me on, Susan.